Here we go, the boxing source with an immediate reaction to what happened here between Jose Ramirez and Josh Taylor. You have Josh Taylor with the unanimous decision win with 3 scores of 114 to 112 to become the undisputed super lightweight champion of the world. We've seen that it was an action-packed fight for the majority of those particular rounds, but it was the speed and the timing of Josh Taylor being the difference, and the 2 knockdowns that were scored, one in the 6th round with the counter left hook up close, and then in the 7th round with the uppercut as they separated themselves after being in a clinch, being the difference for Josh Taylor to become the undisputed super lightweight champion of the world. It was a tactical bout. From the first few rounds, you had Taylor and Ramirez trying to establish themselves, particularly in the first round with the range of Josh Taylor and his speed, while Ramirez tried to get on the inside and try to work on the inside. But Ramirez picked up his overall activity in the 2nd and 3rd rounds, was really getting the best of Taylor in those particular rounds, and it looked like Taylor was in a little bit of trouble, but Taylor made the adjustments. He was very tactical in what he was doing as far as like controlling the range, using his jab, tying up when necessary, and also trying to be as tough on the inside as Ramirez is. But it was the left hand counters that were the difference for Josh Taylor over the course of the fight. You seen first with that left hook counter that put Ramirez to the canvas, and then you started to see that he was trying to time Ramirez with the left hand counter, particularly with the left uppercut. And the 7th round kind of like showed a little bit of the difference there, as he was able to be more tactical and catch Ramirez slipping with his arms down, and then catch him with that uppercut to put Ramirez down to the canvas. And that kind of like took a good amount of energy away from Ramirez, and he was, trying to chase Taylor for the majority of the rest of that fight. But you seen that Taylor was more active, was, more accurate with the jabs that he was throwing, while Ramirez was, still trying to catch up from those 2 knockdowns. And, with that being said, that ended up being the overall difference in the fight. Even though you had 3 scores of 114 to 112. That is basically 114 to 114, 6 rounds to 6, with 2 rounds going to Josh Taylor with the knockdowns. And that, just tells us, man, that, it was a very close bout between the 2. I thought that Josh Taylor did enough to get the overall win. There were a couple of close rounds that did happen in this particular fight, but overall those 2 knockdowns by Josh Taylor were basically the difference. And you've seen that he was trying to be more precise with his shots, with his jabs, and with his left hand power shots, while Ramirez tried to will his way to win. It just wasn't enough for him to get himself back into the fight. So that is the first loss suffered by Jose Ramirez. And Josh Taylor, being an undisputed champion, having those runs against, undefeated fighters and, highly ranked fighters. I mean, the likes of Ivan Baranchyk, Regis Prograis, Appen and Kong Sung, when he had his defense. And among others, he fought Victor Postol as well. So, I mean, you got, somebody in Josh Taylor who's had multiple fights against undefeated fighters, on his way up to become the undisputed super lightweight champion of the world. And he's there with, 18 fights, 18 professional fights, undisputed at super lightweight. And this kind of like defines him as one of the finer fighters in the sport of boxing. I've talked about, you have these pound for pound lists, and when people bring up the name Josh Taylor, it doesn't seem like he's kind of like in there within that pound for pound list. But this particular win for him shows that he should be there amongst the top guys in pound for pound. And, in our conversation before the fight, in the conference call, we talked about legacy for Josh Taylor, and he said that, look, he is trying to, become the first, Scottish, undisputed champion there and be, among the best fighters of, that particular area, and probably be one of the better super lightweight fighters of all time. So right here tonight, he defined himself and put himself in there in boxing history, becoming, an undisputed super lightweight champion. Of course, the last one was Terrence Crawford. But with the run that Josh Taylor had, there's going to be conversations about him having a, better run at super lightweight than Terrence Crawford. And this could potentially line up about between Josh Taylor and Terrence Crawford in the future. But that remains to be seen. But for now, give props to Josh Taylor. He is now the undisputed super lightweight champion with the unanimous decision win over Jose Ramirez, 114 to 112. All three scorecards having the same scores. So with that, we will continue the conversation. Tomorrow, Boxing Source will be live 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time to talk about this, among other topics within the sport of boxing. Until next time, I'm out. Peace.